Hey y'all, I'm CQ and this is Spirit Gumbo, the podcast where we stir the spiritual pot with truth, spice, and sass. In today's episode, we're challenging a belief that's kept way too many people silent, small, or scared to step into their power. The myth that spiritual connection is some kind of exclusive gift. We're flipping the script right from the start with a spirit side-eye for all the gatekeeping nonsense. Then I'll take you into a story time about when I first realized spirit wasn't just whispering to the special folks. After that, we'll break it all down in plain speak. How intuition is not some magical elite skill, but a natural ability we can all access. Then we'll pull a tarot truth bomb to see what spirit says about reclaiming your power and close it out with a spicy little gumbo bite to carry with you. So, grab your candle, sip your tea, and let's get into it. This ain't just talk. This is Spirit Gumbo with CQ. All right, now it's time for a spirit side-eye because some of y'all out here playing with energy like karma won't slap you in the back of the head. This spirit side-eye goes out to all the spiritual gatekeepers. Y'all out here acting like intuition is only for the chosen few. Like you need some kind of high-level clearance or certification to connect with spirit. Newsflash! You don't need a title to talk to your ancestors. You don't need a guru to validate your intuition. Yes, confirmation is helpful, especially when we're standing at a crossroads or moving through change. But let's be clear, your intuition is the strongest ally you have when making decisions. And if spirit is talking to you, that is your confirmation. Period. That was your spirit side-eye. Now go sage your space and mind your magical business. It's now time for story time with CQ, dreams and spiritual visions. Before I dive into story time with CQ, I want to set the stage by talking about the difference between a spiritual awakening and spiritual abilities. A spiritual awakening is the moment your soul stretches beyond the everyday. When you start to feel there's more to life than what you've been taught, conditioned to believe, or distracted by. It often begins with a nudge, a moment of clarity, a breakdown, a strange synchronicity, or a deep calling that whispers, "Something isn't right, and I'm ready to know more." Awakening isn't always pretty. It can shake your foundation, challenge your identity, and pull you into deep healing. But it also opens the door to clarity, connection, and purpose. It's the beginning of your reconnection with spirit, your higher self, and the truth that's always been within you. Spiritual abilities, on the other hand, are the natural gifts you carry, your intuition, energetic sensitivity, your connection to ancestors. Spirit are the unseen. These aren't special powers reserved for a chosen few. They're built in, part of your spiritual makeup. Some people are born more attuned, but we all have the ability to strengthen and use these abilities. Spiritual abilities can show up as gut instincts and inner knowing, feeling energy in people or spaces, dream messages, synchronicities, or clear senses, like clairvoyance or clairsentience, mediumship, energy healing, or channeling, or simply being deeply intuitive and empathic. You don't need a title, a lineage, or permission to tap into your abilities. What you need is trust, practice, and a willingness to remember what's already yours. The bottom line, spiritual awakening equals the shift that opens your awareness. Spiritual abilities equals the tools you discover or reclaim as you walk that path. I can't honestly say I had a clear quote unquote spiritual awakening before my dreams started. I was young. But as I've gotten older and worked through my traumas, I've had what I'd call spiritual reawakenings. In the winter of 1986, I was 12 years old. I woke up one morning deeply upset. My mom was already getting ready for work, and she noticed something was wrong. I told her, I had a dream last night. Something's going to blow up in the sky today. She brushed it off, saying it was just a bad dream. But I was adamant. No, this wasn't just a nightmare. This was real. That day at school, the air felt heavy. I couldn't explain it, but something was off. Then came the shouting in the halls, the rush of teachers, and the TV being rolled into the classroom. We all watched as the Space Shuttle Challenger launched and seconds later exploded. There's an image burned in my memory, and you can actually still find it on video clips. This huge trail of smoke branching off into little trails, little pieces falling with smoke trails. It was exactly what I had seen in my dream. I was shaken, but I wasn't surprised. That night when I got home, my mom looked at me and simply said, I guess you were right. That was the beginning of my premonitions, the start of my abilities taking shape. Over the years, I had more of these dreams. Some about big events, some about smaller events, personal things, and I always knew the difference. My premonitions were vivid, detailed, and unforgettable, while my ordinary dreams faded quickly. A couple of years later, my next quote-unquote big premonition, I woke up one morning. I think it was around Easter. I know it was a holiday. I told my mom that one of my aunts was pregnant, and my mom looked at me because of course this is in the morning, and she said, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, I had a dream last night and one of my aunts is pregnant. And she said, once again, it's just a dream. I was like, okay, it's just a dream. Later during the day, my mom had asked me to go to the store to pick up a few things that we were missing. And when I got back from the store, my mom was sitting on the couch. I kid you not, the look on her face was as if someone had died. And I was like, what's wrong? And she said, how did you know that your aunt was pregnant? And I said, I told you, I dreamed it last night. She said, but how did you know? And I said, Mom, I dreamed it last night. I said, why? And she said, I just got off the phone with your mama, who is my grandmother. And I was like, and? And she said, your aunt's pregnant. From then on, my poor mom never brushed me off again when I said I dreamed something. She believed me, though she didn't know how to help me. Growing up, I struggled with why I would see some things and not others, and why the visions were always incomplete. Now I understand. Spirit gives us what we need, not the whole picture. Even if I had known that January morning it would be the space shuttle, there is nothing I could have done to stop it. I believe Spirit often begins with dreams to help us recognize our abilities and learn to trust them. Over time, as I've worked the muscles of my intuition, my abilities have changed, but I'll never forget that first premonition, the moment I realized I was tuned into something bigger than myself. Now that I've shared my story with you, it's time for us to get into our main theme, why calling it a gift can be harmful. Let's start with gifts and religion. I want to start this part by saying I respect everyone's right to choose their own beliefs and paths. For myself, I've always had misgivings about organized religion. Some of that comes from my own experiences, and some of it comes from learning about religion and the world over time. Everyone has choices to make, and I don't judge. I was born and raised in South Louisiana, the Deep South, where people are deeply religious. As I got older, my spiritual connection got labeled as a quote unquote gift. But that word always felt heavy. Like if I didn't use my gift for God, I was somehow doing something wrong. Like I was bad or broken. That pressure stuck with me for a long time. It took years to unlearn that I wasn't some chosen vessel. I was simply someone who hadn't shut the door to spirit. In many religious communities, spiritual gifts are taught as something special, rare, even anointed. But here's the problem with that. It creates separation. Like some people are chosen and others just aren't. It puts pressure on the gifted, making you feel like you owe your abilities to the world or worse, to religion itself. It disempowers others. People start saying things like, I wish I had your gift, as if they can't access spirit themselves. It stigmatizes the connected. People with abilities are often labeled crazy, dangerous, or even cast out of their communities. Does anybody remember the witch trials? Honestly, for a big part of my life, religious pressure made me feel like I was bad and would never be perfect. I was told I'd burn in hell because if it wasn't from God, it had to be from the devil. Here's a little PSA. I don't believe in hell, but that's another story for another day. For a long time, I chose to believe I was just bad, that I couldn't change who I was. Eventually, I made peace with being different, even if others called it wrong. So here's the truth about abilities. Spiritual connection isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's not something spirit hands out like party favors. Abilities like intuition, mediumship, energy healing, or channeling, these are natural human skills. They just need practice, attention, and trust. We all have access to the clairs, clairvoyance, clairaudience, etc., energy sensitivity, spiritual insight, connections to ancestors or guides. But most of us were taught to ignore or suppress them. We were told it was just imagination or worse, evil. The truth? These aren't gifts, they're abilities. And like a muscle, you can strengthen them. It's like relearning a language you forgot you knew. The more you listen, the clearer it becomes. So, let's break down some of these abilities. We're going to get into the clairs, and I'll be honest, some of the clairs I have a hard time pronouncing, not just because they're hard to pronounce, but it's because of my South Louisiana accent. I'm going to do my best, so don't cancel me because I didn't pronounce something correctly. All right, so let's get into the clairs. Number 1, clairvoyance, which is clear seeing. Visualizing a place before you've ever been there, seeing flashes of light, shadowy figures, or vivid dreamlike visions while meditating, having prophetic dreams, or seeing events before they happen. If you've ever said, I just pictured it in my head, or had a daydream that came true, that's clairvoyance, tuning in and turning on. Number 2, clairaudience, clear hearing. Hearing your name called when no one's around, receiving a sudden phrase or word that gives clarity or direction, getting a song lyric stuck in your head that feels like a message. Personally, I love when spirit speaks through songs. Have you ever asked for a sign, turned on the radio, and the lyrics answered your question? That's clairaudience. Number 3, clairsentience, clear feeling. Walking into a room and instantly knowing the vibe is off. Feeling goosebumps or pressure when spirit is near. Picking up on someone's sadness or stress without them saying a word. When I'm with clients and spirit hits exactly what resonates, I get goosebumps. I call them spirit bumps. That's clairsentience in action. Number 4, claircognizance, clear knowing. Knowing someone's lying without proof. An answer suddenly dropping into your head mid-conversation. A download that says, just trust this, and it turns out right. This is the main way that Spirit speaks to me. I describe it as downloads. I don't know how I know. I just know. Number 5, clairalience, clear smelling. Smelling your grandmother's perfume out of nowhere. Picking up scents like tobacco, coffee, or flowers that hold spiritual meaning. A warning through scent like fire or decay with no source. For me, this happens often when family spirits visit. My favorite was once smelling coconut cake out of nowhere. I knew who it was that was visiting, and it was just so random. Number 6, clairgustance, clear tasting. Tasting blood, metal, or sweetness during meditation. The flavor of a childhood dish when thinking of a loved one who passed. Tasting something during a dream or spirit experience. This one's actually rare, and I'll be honest, I don't recall ever personally experiencing clairgustance. Number 7, clairtangency, psychometry, clear touch, holding jewelry and feeling waves of emotion, touching a wall in an old house and seeing flashes of the past, getting a read on someone just from brushing their hand. I'm highly sensitive with clairtangency. I actually avoid touching handrails in certain places because of all of the heavy energy that lingers, and then I can literally be affected by it. So that is all of the clairs. Now we're going to talk about other intuitive abilities. Empathic sensitivity, energy feelers. You feel other people's emotions like they're your own. It can be exhausting. If you've ever cried from someone else's pain, felt overwhelmed in crowds, or needed alone time to recharge, you're empathic. Mediumship, communicating with spirits through any of the clairs, dreams, or symbols. For me, I sense presences in my home all the time. It's a shift in energy I can't explain. I don't mind the visits, but I hate being touched. And yes, some of my past family members still try, laughing the whole time. Spirits, what can you do? Precognition, premonitions, seeing or sensing something before it happens. Deja vu isn't just random. I believe it's spirit showing you a signpost that you're exactly where you need to be. Dream intuition, lucid dreaming. Vivid dreams with messages, guidance, or visitations. And of course, if you've listened to this podcast, you already know my dreams have been one of the strongest ways Spirit speaks to me. The truth about abilities, they're not gifts given to some and withheld from others. They're just part of the human design. When you awaken, you start to notice them. And when you practice, you strengthen them. So, if it's not a gift, what is it? Right now, if you're thinking, damn, I've had that happen. Or, wow, I never knew how to explain what I've experienced. That's the point. You're not broken, different, or weird. And even if you do feel weird, then wear that flag proudly, like me. Because we are all connected, not just to each other, but to spirit. And those experiences, they're your abilities. And they are real. So, let's stop calling spiritual abilities gifts, like only a chosen few were handed them from on high. That kind of thinking creates separation and props some people up on pedestals, which is exactly what gatekeepers love to do And y'all, Spirit wasn't out here playing Oprah with intuition. You get a gift, you get a gift, you get a gift. That's not how this works. You're not ungifted just because you didn't have visions in preschool. Most of us were never taught how to notice or use what was already there. These are abilities, just like singing, cooking, or drawing. Some folks are naturally attuned, others have to practice, but nearly everyone has the potential. The word gift makes it sound passive, like you're waiting for it to be given. But ability implies ownership, choice, and growth. When you frame it as a skill, you take it down from the clouds and put it into your hands. It took me a long time to realize my abilities weren't bad, that I wasn't bad for using them or for not using them when some spiritual leader told me how and when I should. It took a lot of healing to see that I don't need permission, approval, or a certificate to use my abilities the way Spirit moves me to. Truth is, I wouldn't even be doing this podcast if I still had old me's mindset. I've grown, I've healed in ways that still surprise me, and deep down, I know this has always been Spirit's plan for me. And I trust Spirit's vision for my life. And you can get there too. It's time for a Tarot Truth Bomb, where Spirit speaks through the cards and I don't sugarcoat the message. So, today's pull is all about abilities and reclaiming what's already yours. So as I shuffle, I want you to take a deep breath and ask yourself, what abilities within me am I trying to awaken? Where have I been handing away my power, waiting for someone else to validate me? And how can I start trusting what Spirit has already placed inside me? Today's card is the Queen of Swords. What's interesting about the Queen of Swords in the deck of tarot, typically she resonates as a woman who is well connected with her mind. And when we're talking about the queens are always about internal. I like to look at masculine and feminine. Masculine's all about the outside, the external action. Feminine is about internal action. So when we're talking about a queen who's holding a sword, and swords represent air, this is a time for you to really stop overthinking what's going on internally. We're talking about intuition and abilities today. This is a time where we need to balance the head, the heart, the gut. I don't know how many of you know out there, but there is a belief that we actually have 3 brains in our body. Head brain, heart brain. Heart brain is connected to our emotions. Head brain is connected to our intelligence. And then you have the gut brain. And gut in German means from God. So that stomach, that intuition, that gut brain, when all 3 are aligned, then we're using our intuition to tell us what's happening in the world around us, being able to come from a loving place, and then using our logic to work things through. So that the Queen of Swords has popped up. This is a reminder to make sure that all 3 of your brains are connected, because that's how we're able to move forward. That's how we're able to cut through things in life. Remember, swords represent air, but they also represent cutting through fog, cutting through things that are holding us back. So that has been our Tarot Truth Bomb. Spirit said what it said. Spirit didn't stutter. Take it in, sit with it, and do what you will with it. All right, now, here's your gumbo bite for today. Something short and spicy to stir into your soul. Why does calling it a gift feel so limiting? One reason is because the word gift makes it sound like only some people were chosen. like Spirit was handing out intuition at random, that creates separation and it makes people believe they aren't enough. Another reason is pressure. If you're told you have a gift, suddenly you feel like you owe it to religion, to your family, or to the world to use it a certain way. That weight can make you doubt yourself instead of trusting Spirit. And then there's the disempowerment. When people, especially those we love and trust, say, "I wish I had your gift," they don't realize they already have the same abilities waiting inside them. Calling it a gift makes it sound passive, like it has to be given. But an ability, that's something you can grow, strengthen, and own. So ask yourself, where have I believed I wasn't gifted enough? How have I ignored or downplayed my own abilities? What steps can I take to practice and trust what's already mine? Your abilities aren't a prize handed from above. They're a birthright, and the more you work with them, the more they'll work for you. Now, take that with you and stir wisely. When we stop calling it a gift and start calling it what it is, an ability, we take back our power. You're not waiting on Spirit to hand you something special. You already carry it. You're not broken for feeling different, and you're not wrong for trusting your own knowing. Your abilities are like muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they become. And the more you trust them, the more Spirit trusts you with them. So this week, I invite you to pause and reflect. Where have I been waiting for permission to use what's already mine? And what's one simple way I can practice trusting my intuition today? Because at the end of the day, this isn't about being chosen. It's about choosing yourself. That's it for today's brew. If something stirred your soul, pass it on. And don't forget to follow, rate, and share your thoughts on any of our socials. Next week, in episode 5, Religion versus Spirituality, Reclaiming Spirit on Your Terms, we'll unpack the trauma and tension between religion and spirituality. It's time to reclaim Spirit in a way that's empowering and authentic. Until next time, this ain't just talk. This is Spirit Gumbo with CQ.